12 o'clock. All right, all right. What's up, my friend? How you doing?
Yo, how's it going? Good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. What's your name? So I said that right?
Jabril. Jabril Wilson. You said it right.
Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. Well, good. Good to have you here, my friend. It's the first time you've been able to join us.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure, bro. Get connected with you guys and get some
Awesome.
deals.
There we go. Did you join the Dealmakers Academy recently?
Yeah, I joined through Hands. Talked to him about it.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, dude. Well, I love to hear that. Hans has been definitely crushing it for the community. He's obviously out there closing deals, but also bringing new folks in. And that's what I love to see is it kind of pick up some momentum. So good to have you here, man. Good to have you. I'm gonna send this invite around. Bane, what's up, man? Cam, how are y'all?
What's going on?
It's a Monday. Getting after it, getting deals lined up. I never would have thought that I was gonna be talking so much about horses in my professional career, but I'll be damned. Here we are.
Sometimes life gives you horses.
I guess it does. The irony is we ran away from our hometown. Lauren grew up on a farm. I was like, no way. I had nothing to do with working on the farm. She got burnt out and working on the farm. And then here we are about to buy two of them, which is what's crazy. Um, this game is getting a hell of a lot easier, by the way, guys. It took me about mm, less than 3 hours from the time that the offer that, well, it was kind of soft accepted. We haven't got a final acceptance yet, but from the time of making an offer back to the agent and and 3 hours later, I've got a credit sponsor, credit partner lined up. Um, they want to close pretty quickly. The sellers do. So this one might just fly right past the other one we've been working on, get closed first. It was crazy. I gotta go check it out tomorrow. It's in Fort Myers, Florida. Came from a student, Sherry, who reached out to an agent. I think, yeah, she reached out to him probably via cold call or maybe Facebook. I'm not sure. To my man Daryl, who actually I had spoken with a little bit previously, to an agent down in the Fort Myers area. He sent her the opportunity. She brought it back. Her and Bain broke it down. She brought it to me afterwards. We looked through it deeper, made some offers. Now here we are, right? It's really, really not that hard. Sherry made the initial outreach to Daryl on Thursday, got a response on Friday. We put together an offer over the weekend. I spoke with Daryl on Sunday, and we potentially are looking at getting it under contract today or tomorrow. So 5 days. 5 days from the time she talked to the agent to being able to line this up, have all the pieces together for what we have now officially labeled the G Money method. And so that some of you guys begin to understand, I'm gonna do a full training on this tomorrow night at 6 p.m. But essentially, what the G Money method is pulling every resource that we need to get a deal done with no excuses. So we don't have the money, we find private money. We don't have the credit, we find a credit partner. Whatever we need, we're going to pull in the resources. This is now the second horse farm that we're working on running this strategy with. We're able to give sellers a much bigger chunk down than what a lot of our competitors are offering them from creative deals. And it allows us and our partners to be able to make front side cash, recurring revenue, and an eventually another spread at the refinance marker down the road. Let's see here. We got a dog here itching my nose. We got Zoom user in here again. I love this guessing game. We never know who it is. It's always fun. We got Patrick as well. What's up, Patrick? How you doing, man? Just kidding. Drop the mic. Oh, just got a text from the guys from Property Grid. Bane, I started talking to you a little bit about this. Soon they're going to come on and do a live podcast with us I'm going to fly out, I believe, to Montana. They're doing a mastermind event. And we're going to talk about fractionalization and how we factor that into some of these deals that we're acquiring right now. So being able to break down the equity of these money making opportunities into fractional pieces that our whole community can play a part in. It's really, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's okay because nobody does. It's really ahead of the game when it comes to real estate. It's very much so like on the forefront of just technology as a whole in regards to, is this even legal with the SEC? It's taken a long time to get to a point where it is, and it's structured in a way that it can be done that way. So I'm speaking with their founders again on Wednesday, and we're going to finalize some kind of movement on how we can implement this into the properties that we're acquiring currently. So it's Jahan from Facebook. I messaged you yesterday. What's up, man? Glad to have you here. Can you chat? Can you talk? You got a microphone if you can. But cool. So yeah, the fractionalization stuff, dude, is actually really exciting for us. I can't wait for them to get on and teach y'all a little bit deeper. Anybody know what NFTs are? Anybody on here know anything about NFTs? No one? Look at
Yeah, I know a little bit.
yeah, what you know about it? Anybody else?
I used to own one of those monkeys.
Ha ha! You wait, which one of the monkeys? Like a Bored Ape?
Yeah, that's
You
it.
actually owned one. Sick.
It was not it was nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It's not like the
Well,
ones you see selling for millions of dollars.
right. So that's the thing about NFTs, especially at the time in which I launched an NFT project. There was no real value tied to most of them. It was all theoretical things of what it was going to be or what it was going to do. But at its core, essentially, the picture of the monkey had some value that had been predetermined by what the market said it was worth, right? The difference with what we're talking about here is that real estate, as a physical asset, has a real value, has a real worth, right? So we already sell real estate with contracts. It's a normal thing, right? The next step of that will be for them, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, for them to be built into the blockchain so it's there and visible and it's not able to be changed. Every single transaction tied to a property can be tied in there. It just creates a lot more security on that front. And it also allows us to fractionalize the equity shares, right? So, for example, Property Grid, the company that I'm talking about, they currently work with the government of Venezuela. And there's another South American company that I can't think of. They actually are working with the government to do projects like Energy Grid, which is a solar farm in which they have fractionalized the ownership back out to their community, which is just an incredible way to basically raise capital in very small pieces from the masses and allow them to take a fractional ownership in what they are investing in and what's bringing revenue back. So really, really future case stuff, things that a lot of people will take years and years to understand. But one of the benefits of your boy is I'm always an early mover when it comes to things that I can see coming. So there's gonna, be some hurdles to this as it continues to move forward. There'll be some things to smooth out. But they've already spent years and years at the Property Grid side of building this out. We get to have the benefit of having early access to the platform. I bought into this for our community so that we would be able to do this. And soon we will be able to list properties on this and allow people all over the world to buy fractional shares in the properties on contracted period of time in which we determine in the smart contract. And then we have also the ability to buy back the equity over time if we choose to. So really, it's like a very, very cool use case of how we can use fractional ownership on the blockchain instead of just theoretical value in the picture of monkeys. Because I did about $1 million in revenue selling what we called our third eye society, which is pictures of monkeys with their third eye and like some spiritual stuff and all kinds of stuff that you hear me talk about. So like we were able to do that with really no value outside of the community that we had at that time. That's one of the things I do best, is build community, get people pulled together. So I'm very excited about that because it ties in a lot of that experience for me as well. And I know the value of this moving forward. So it's going to be something that you don't have to understand right now, but we'll continue to talk about a lot as we move forward. Hey, what's up, Amanda? How are you? Can you chat? You got a microphone?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. You got leads moving on this Monday?
Not just yet. I was working on a couple of other things, gaining some knowledge and stuff like that before I try to move forward again. So that way, this time when I come back, I actually have something worth value.
Well, you know what? No worries. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to, like we always talk about, you don't have to know everything, right? You just got to get started with it. So definitely put in the reps on learning, but then make sure you put in the reps on outreach too, because that's how you're going to learn the most is in execution. You're going to go find questions you don't know the answer to. You're going to bring them back and then you're going to learn the answer and you'll never have the question again. Instead of sitting and always trying to study, which what a lot of people do is they'll study for months and months or years and years and without ever actually putting into action, they still struggle with the same kind of questions, right? So make sure you get a good balance of both. But I'm glad that you're here with us today. Cam, you got a question, man?
Yeah, real quick before I gotta jump off, I know we were starting to talk about the horse farms.
Yes.
Are you looking for anything specific in those? Like if we come across something, how would I know if it's a potential or something that we wouldn't want to do?
All right, so let's break it down. So, and I'm going to go really deep on this tomorrow night, so I'm sure you'll be there too. If not, I'll get you the recording. But a quick, easy way to look at it is this a property in which it's making a profit currently and it can be increased with business development? This is the difference, right? So, a real estate property is going to make a certain amount of money and it's going to make that amount of money, right? But we're looking for opportunities where it's making this amount of money and then I can put my hands on it with the G money effect and it goes up. That's what we're looking for, right? So with the horse farms and the wedding venue, they're both currently doing revenue outside of the physical real estate. They are renting out a duplex on the one that we're looking at in Fort Myers. There is a single family home that we may be able to even turn into a short-term rental, courtesy of Bain's idea this morning. I think that could potentially add another 10,000 or so in revenue based off of that conversation. So it's already doing some and we can increase it, right? Because the way that we're going to run this, just so that you guys know, is with the G Money method here, we're going to leverage a DSCR loan, very similar to a Morby method. It actually is at its core a Morby method with some layers on top of it, right? So what that means is we're going to look to give the seller a pretty big chunk of it down, right? Like 50% is the one that we're looking at in Paris, 50% down. We're looking at between 40 and 60% down in the one in Fort Myers. So giving them a big chunk of change upfront, recurring revenue that they're going to make off of owner financing the second position, and then a future balloon payment buyout. So we want to be making some revenue right now because when we get that DSCR loan, we're getting it for as much as 80%, depending on the property, right? But we're only going to pay the seller around 50% on average. That 30% difference, we're going to put into growth of this business, this property that we've just bought, right? So if they're doing right now, they're doing around 22,000 or so off the top of my head revenue in the Fort Myers horse farm. All right. So we're going to make some kind of front side spread of around $200,000-ish, right? At least half of that really will go into development of things on the farm and marketing to get more people in there, right? Because we'll have double the amount of stables. We'll be able to do more lessons than they're currently doing because a lot of these people have no idea what they're doing with marketing, lead gen, and business growth. That's your boys thing, right? That's what we've been doing for a long time. So that's the play really that we're looking for, Cam. More than just single family homes and things of that nature. We're looking for things that are already doing larger scale revenue that we can increase. Slash one other, let's say avatar to use the marketing word that fits this very well that Matt Buska has been working on is portfolio owners, right? Because when we run this play, they're able to get a big chunk down again, which is often a lot higher than what they're going to be offered from others with creative opportunities. They're not going to have to take a huge cash discount, right? But we're going to be able to structure the terms with a balloon payment that allows us to leverage from some front side money, either renovate the properties in the portfolio or potentially look at just wholesaling them off and paying that debt down sooner, right? So those are the two avatars, either a portfolio of many properties or some kind of cash flowing business slash real estate. That's one of the biggest things. I personally want to move the most on things that are businesses backed by real estate, like the horse farm. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Let's see. Anybody else? Who else we got jumped in here? Chelsea. Let's give Chelsea the mic and give her about 30 seconds to unmute herself. Because Chelsea's one of my favorites. She's over here like this all the time. Trying to mute. How you doing, Chelsea? Look, I told you I'll give her 30 seconds. She might not even be able to talk. I'm just talking shit all the time. Well, so let's I guess open up for a few minutes. Anybody got questions or deals they want to discuss, break down, things that I can help add guidance on first off? Anybody? Let me check Facebook comments because sometimes I forget to check there. Let's see what we got here on Facebook. Nothing. Y'all so quiet on a Monday. Tomorrow night, we are going to have Hans join us as well in that 6 p.m. session. We are going to also break down some of his closing techniques and how he's able to position offers with sellers to be able to get deals under contract. He's been crushing it for us recently, so he's going to be leading that training as well tomorrow. Let's see. Jonathan. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing, man? Can you chat? Oh,
Hey, what's good, brother?
how you doing, bro?
Good, good. So yeah, I wanted to pop in here, ask you a couple questions.
Hit me, brother. I'm glad you're here. Nobody else wants to talk to me.
Yeah, so I was, where do you think the best places to get or obtain buyer leads that need qualifying to be a first-time homeowner, or they just can't be qualified for a bank?
So you mean what Pace calls a penalty box buyer? Somebody that can't qualify for a traditional mortgage?
Yes.
Okay. So personally, as a marketer, I think the easiest, most trackable way to do it would be to run targeted Facebook ads. I mean, if you look at people that are searching these things, we can also filter sometimes some of the data sources we have to help target more specifically people that have subpar credit scores. But there's also the people like myself or Lauren who make good money as 1099 employees, but don't have an income W-2 pay stub that's going to qualify for kind of standard mortgage. So running Facebook advertising is going to be the most trackable way to do it, in my opinion. There's many Facebook groups out there as well. So if you don't have the dollars to spend, you're just gonna have to search a little bit harder, to dig deeper. But there is many groups out there. And I think it really comes down to, as always, going to be relationship building, right? So I would look for in the same groups that we talk about doing the Facebook bandit strategy, where you're like posting, I'm looking to buy a property in local groups. You might post something in local community groups that's like, hey, I've got a property that we're looking to sell to a first-time home buyer that maybe can't qualify for a traditional mortgage with seller financing or whatever kind of clickbait terms you want to use. DM me if you're interested or if you know somebody that's looking. That would be an easy way to get conversations started. It's not necessarily going to be a massive influx of lead flow. It's definitely not going to be as trackable or as scalable as paid advertising, but it is definitely also a solution that you can run.
Yeah, yeah. I thought another thing would be also getting in touch with, as many realtors as possible in like the areas that I do want to touch
Great.
in, ask them, hey, do you know any buyers that might have fall through, through financing? Because we can always provide that. Obviously, they just run out through our form. They do a quick, job form thing. And if we can approve them, we can definitely help them be a first-time homeowner or buyer. So in any
Great.
sense, when you said bandit like posts, for example, this wouldn't be a house I'm selling myself. Obviously, I have homes that I do that with, where I do provide the owner financing and I know how to structure that sale and kind of post that online. But this is kind of more catered towards just a first-time home buyer, really, for anyone who wants to get, financed through a private lender.
I think the agent play is a great idea too. I think if you do those kind of posts, you're going to get agents that come back and respond to you anyway, because you're absolutely right. They do have a influx or a flow of people who may not qualify. One of Lauren's numerology clients actually is a real estate agent out in Tennessee. He sent a couple different buyers that did not qualify for the mortgages they were looking for to see if we were able to help get the deals funded for them. Which is a little bit different. They weren't necessarily we weren't looking for the same type of person, but it was the same kind of idea where the agent was sending us people that didn't qualify. So I do think that will work very well for you as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate it, Garrett. All your
No
help.
doubt. No doubt. And you still working with Ralph and Nelson, right? Aren't you trying to get something funded still?
Yeah, yeah. I've been in touch with Ralph and Nelson. They're great connections to have.
Absolutely.
Went in depth with kind of Nelson and kind of the underwriting process of kind of some of my deals.
Mhm.
I might need a credit partner. You know, you mentioned that you have that in your back pocket. So I'll touch base with you on that. I know I had a couple other lenders I'm also
Cool.
looking at that are interested in the deal. So
Nice.
we'll see where I go with that.
Cool. Thank you for chatting, bro. See, Amanda got a question here in the chat. Give us some red flags. People always ask for the what tos. What are the what nots? All right, let's dig deeper on this. Amanda, can you chat for a second?
Hey Garrett. Yeah, so like just, personal opinion, what are things that like you've run into that you maybe wish that you had walked away from or like things that you would recommend to other people like, don't do that.
Great question. Great question. Let me think on this so I can give you a good answer. One of the things the first thing that comes to my mind is the concept of a daisy chain, right? So there's a lot of people that will just post a deal and then somebody else will see it and then they'll just look to pass it along and post it again or send it to different people. And what happens is you think as an early wholesaler, somebody's posting a deal and I can't say how many of these this happens, right? And you bring it back like, oh, this person's looking for this or this is a good opportunity. And then you dig deeper and realize that there's like 3 or 4 people on this deal that make the numbers actually a lot higher. As an early wholesaler, it's harder for you to know the difference, right? You see an opportunity, you see a spread. This is one of the things. Just because you see a spread in ARV and purchase price does not make it a deal. Let me just say that again. Just because there's a difference in purchase price or purchase price would be down here, I guess, and ARV does not mean that it's a good deal. We had a couple months ago had somebody bring a deal to us. They had it actually, they were set in the process of trying to send out a purchase contract for approximately $30,000 less than the market price. It was listed and they were basically offering $30,000 less than this. And they're like, oh, they accepted it, there's a spread, da da da. Little do they know that they would have had to legitimately bring money to closing in order to pay the agent to buy this property, let alone be able to sell it to somebody else as an investor, right? So like so many times people think, oh, there's a spread. This person brought it to me and oh, there's 40K, there's 60K spread. It looks like a deal because there's space there. But when you dig deeper, it's probably not. So a general rule of thumb would be if you see something posted especially in generic Facebook groups. It's one thing if it's like deal makers or sub2 or so, even the creative group, the free one. But if you're talking about like real estate wholesalers, Florida cash deals, I'm talking about like these Facebook groups with random ass names, you'll see all kinds of opportunities out there. If it's there, it's probably not a deal. If it was a good deal, it would not be sold that way. It would not be blasted that way. It would be listed on a platform like InvestorLift, or they would partner with somebody like us where we work with a buyer's network that we already have. You email it, you blast it out, deals get sold fast. Pretty straightforward. If it's posted in all these groups, especially the free kind of open-ended ones, it's probably not a good deal. So I would recommend avoiding a lot of those. One other slash here is that something to note about those probably not being a good deal is that those contracts are probably going to fall through. So either they're going to end up screwing themselves or somebody else on a no good deal, or the contract's going to fall through and they're going to lose the EMD if there's anything tied there. A lot of these folks are probably not going to have an EMD tied in there because they don't know what they're doing. So when those deals fall through, that creates opportunity because now this homeowner just got drugged through the mud with somebody else who wasn't able to solve their problem, wasted their time, didn't bring them a solution that they promised. And now you can slide in once that contract potentially expires to save the day, right? Now, we're not looking to go around the wholesaler that has it under contract. It's just important to note that there's a likelihood that this might expire. Let me check back in 30 days. Let me check back in 45 days, see if they're still under contract. see what it looks like, right? So just because you can't make a move on it when you see it blasted there doesn't mean you can't try to potentially use it as a future opportunity down the road as well. So there's definitely at least one red flag to avoid is the daisy chain effect that happens with social media much easier nowadays. Jared, what's up, brother? You getting a deal locked up right now or what?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I didn't get it low enough. Now that I'm looking at it again, I haven't locked it up yet. I was planning on sending the contract today.
Nice.
Kind of want to get your opinion on it too.
Okay, we'll talk. Tell me about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in an area, but the area is not that active. It's it's kind of outside of the city, like 40 minutes out.
Got it.
Got it. Like we came to a mutual agreement on a cash offer, but I don't know. I don't think it's low enough. I
Give
don't
me
know if this is the place and time to talk about it deeply, though. Is it?
Well, I mean, you don't have to give me the address, but let's just talk rough numbers and see what an offer might look like. Okay. So what you say you don't think it's low enough. So tell me a couple things first off. What is the market price or is it, let's start from the top. Yeah, are you direct to seller or are you direct to agent?
Agent.
Direct to agent. So it's listed currently.
Yep. Yeah, been on the market for 120 something days.
Listed for 120 days. Okay. And it's listed at
335.
335. Okay. And now what is the cash offer that you're talking about here?
Well, I pitched terms,
Good.
and then I followed up with the cash offer, and the seller was more attracted to the cash offer. Mine was 280.
Okay.
So he accepted that one. I might have to go lower though.
Yeah. So what, okay, let's keep digging deeper. You're probably right. What is the condition of the property?
It looks like a lipstick. Doesn't need much work, just cosmetically.
Okay. And I'm assuming here the exit that you're planning on would be a wholesale. You'll be looking to turn around and sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep in mind, let's break this down. Either you're going to sell to an end buyer or you're going to sell to a fix and flipper, right? So a fix and flipper is going to want to have enough space to make a profit too, right? So if you were to get this at 280, let's play with this and say you wanted to add a standard $10,000 assignment, right? Which means you would need to sell it at $290,000, right? Now, the fix and flipper on the other side that you're going to sell it to is going to have to bring in some money to do the renovations, even if it's a lipstick, right? What's the size of the house?
1,600.
Okay. Let's do 1,600. I'm going to round up a little bit for you, and we're going to do $20 per square foot. Say it's $32,000 in renovation costs. Always better to be a little bit safe, right? When we're rounding, we always wanted to have more space than opposite. Right. So let's add 290,000 to that. That puts us at 322, right? And if we know it's sat on the market at 335 for 120 days, which means you're gonna have to sell it, you're gonna have to list it less than 335 in order for it to even have opportunity to be sold. It hasn't sold where it's at currently. Right now, if you increase the value of it a little bit, maybe it goes slightly higher. But a fix and flipper, especially anybody worth their weight, is generally not going to want a spread lower than $50,000. So here you're talking about 15 or 20, right? They're not really making much at all. A fix and flipper is not going to buy this, right? You have the secondary potential. You can say, hey, maybe I want to I want to play that role. I want to just bring in the 32,000. Now we're at 322, but when you factor in closing costs, agent fees, and everything, when you look at selling, you're negative, right? So you're going to have to go way lower. Let's talk about how you find a cash offer number, right? So with what I just told you, we want to try to get this like stupid low. To give you quick math, so I like if I'm just going to look at it without breaking down a property, I'm going to say, all right, what's the purchase price or what's the total value if it's listed or whatever, or just total value of the house. More than likely on a cash offer, it's not often going to be listed. So what's the total value? What's around 55% of that number, right? So if I want to make a cash offer on this, if it's listed at 335 and we say that's the value, which is probably a little bit lower than that since they haven't been able to sell it at that. But let's say it was 335 and you just came across this seller and it wasn't listed. They said, I want 335. Well, we're going to want to get this at 185,000-ish, give or take a little bit, right? Could go up to around 60 or 65%. Sometimes the higher up you go, the less money you're going to make as a wholesaler, right? So we ideally want to get properties locked up at around 55 to 60% or lower. That's always going to be better. You go lower, that's good. But that's generally how you're going to look at it. So with that being said, Jared, often it's going to be somebody that has a hell of a lot more pain, right? They're going to be facing some kind of financial situation like foreclosure. They just inherited the property and they're burning cash on this, things like that. Bane, you got something to add?
Yeah, I wanted to bring in the pain is like the biggest thing you're gonna find. Especially with these like foreclosure deals. For example, we had one guy, I mean, he was behind on payments of like 40 or $50,000, right? Like that is going to be your biggest spread because you're solving the most amount of problems by being able to pay that off, right? So I mean we locked that property up for 30,000, flipped it for, like 40,000 as a wholesale fee, and then they ended up, the flipper renovated it and they sold it for 370, but we maybe paid like 30,000 for the property. Like those are going to be the biggest ones that you find, and honestly, the easiest ones to find, like the easiest ones to close on, the hardest ones to find.
Right, right. And then Patrick said their motivation greater than price every time. Absolutely. Right. So if they don't have that level of motivation, right? Excuse me. You want to keep that in mind. That doesn't mean we don't want to show them a cash number, right? But we're not going to lead with it first off because it's going to pretty much turn them off. But we want to use it as a leverage point as to why they should choose the creative offer. So let's keep going. Jared, do you happen to know? If not, these are the kind of questions you need to be asking. What's the mortgage owed, or is it free and clear? Do they still owe money on it?
Yeah, it's still money.
They still owe money. Do you know what that mortgage is?
She told me on a phone call. I don't remember. He had a lot of equity.
So you think it's below 50%? They paid off more than half of it, you think?
It's around 50.
Around 50%. Okay. So, well, then the next question becomes, are they open to creative terms like sub two? If they still have a mortgage, what's the mortgage rate? What's the interest rate on the loan that they have currently? So you probably don't know that answer right now. That's okay. Fine. These are the kind of questions you would want to find. So go ask them exactly how much is left on the mortgage. Look, dog hairs literally just invade my whole life all the time in my mouth while I'm talking. So what's the mortgage owed and what is the interest rate are going to be key points to determine, does this make sense for us to take over sub two, or do we look other routes, right? So if it's sat for this long, he's obviously committed to getting a certain amount for this property. Otherwise, he would have already dropped it and continued to drop it until he did. So he's not willing to just cut it loose, right? The next question I would also dig deeper on, this is probably your own research, is what does the rental market in this area look like? So if somebody was to get this property on creative terms, what's our exit strategy? What's it going to look like as a long-term rental? We want to at least try to break even, get a couple $100 spread there, at least bare minimum. We'd never want to be negative. Some people will tell you that you can, blah, blah, blah. We want to stay generally cash flow positive. So are we going to be able to rent it long term in a way that we can make money? Because if not, then it's going to be more difficult to find a solution. Then as we keep breaking it down, so you understand the train of thought. It's like, all right, if it checks that box, and let's say we assume that it checks that box, but just barely breaks even, what's a better exit for it? Is it a midterm rental opportunity, which if it's 40 minutes outside of a major city, it's probably not going to be active as a pad. Like pad split's probably not active within that market. That doesn't mean it can't be run as a midterm rental. It just means there's more work behind finding the people to put in there, maybe more marketing spend to run, like we mentioned earlier, things like that. So you want to just keep running that play all the way through. So before you make offers, and this is something that we really want to help you guys learn and train on specifically, is I want you to think it all the way through as if you are buying this deal. That's what we need to do. In order to get good offers and good deals, we got to structure it so that we can sell it. If we can't sell it, then it doesn't matter if we can lock it up. That's great. That's just locking a contract up, this is something that a word that somebody told me a long time ago. This thing called hopium, right? Hope is an addicting drug. You hope that you have a deal. You hope that you're gonna make some money. You see this spread and you see this thing and you hope and you get addicted to that feeling, right? Hopium is very, very dangerous, right? You don't want to hope that you're gonna be able to sell this. We want to know that based off the way that I structured my entry offer, I've got an exit lined up, period. And especially when you're new at this, having somebody who you can kind of work backwards with, where an end buyer who says, this is my buy box, this is what I want you to go find, allows your job to be easier because then you've got one shot to shoot, right? One shot. Like, for example, one of the buyers that we're partnering with, the guy that I'm meeting right after this, Patrick, he wants very specific buy box for multifamily properties. I want to get into it creatively. I want to put 600K or less down. Total purchase price less than 4 million. Value add, flip, blah, blah, blah. All this is his buy box. Within 2 weeks, I've been able to bring him 5 different opportunities that fit that buy box, at least one of which, if not 2 to 3 of them, will be moving on together. Because I already had the buy box, right? So finding a balancer in between there is good, but make sure that you run it all the way through saying, if I was the end buyer of this property, is this a good deal for me? Am I going to cash flow? Am I going to make money? How can I structure this in a way that I'm going to be able to sell it to somebody so that they will make money? And that's where you get paid as a wholesaler. After opium comes copium. That's actually a hilarious little addition to that right there. I'll be taking that. That's so true, Patrick. But yeah, so Jared, any other questions on that or any other ways I can help guide you through that?
No, I just need to talk to the agent, try to get the number lower on that one, see what I can do with it.
So let me know. Let me know how we can help you as you talk to them and get some feedback. Try to find those details like the mortgage owed, the interest, and see if it's something we can structure creative terms on, and I'll help you structure that as well. Bane, is that hand raised from earlier? You still got something?
No, sorry.
Oh, good. Who else we got in here? Some new names. And anybody else can chat? We got Jahan. I know what's up. John,
Hey.
Ryan. What's up, Chelsea? You made it to the microphone.
Yeah, I've been here. Oh wow,
What's up?
you unmuted me. I didn't see it pop up on my screen.
I didn't unmute you, but you hear.
I have a question. So I was listening to a lot of seller calls this weekend, right? And like I was listening to I was on YouTube, right? So I was listening to Pace Morby, who's a very different style than myself. And
Yeah.
I laugh because it's much like me and Garrett, like talking earlier about this. And I'm like, it's funny, I say this to you, and like you don't take it out of context because I feel like if I said it to anyone else, they think I'm like hating, and I'm not. It's just our styles are so different, right? And like I'm listening to these calls with Pace, and like he's on the phone with these agents, first time he's ever spoke to them. And I'm like waiting for it to I'm waiting for that line to drop. Like I'm looking for that like golden line, like that icebreaker, right? And he's just like, you got anything you want to tell to me on seller finance? So I'm like, it's just was so straightforward, So I don't know. I just was wondering other ideas, like because I watched a lot of different Pace videos, and I learned a lot of great stuff. I got a lot of value from them, and some stuff that I'm going to utilize. But for myself, I'm very outgoing, very talkative. I'm good at building relationships with people, right? But I've always worked I feel like I was listening to Pace's videos this weekend, and just like when he was talking to the community, I could tell like when he's making these YouTubes, and he just like I felt like he was talking to me even like years later, and he's like, don't overthink it. Like people just make things so overcomplicated, and like it ain't that big of a deal, like just do it, and like that's always been me. Like I've always had to be such a perfectionist, and I always got to overthink it. And like G, like. And Garrett's very fast paced, right? So like it takes a lot. I gotta keep up with him when we were going through this learning curve, right? Like, and it was like some things like we would get an idea and ponder upon it, right? And he's like, all right, this might be a good idea for the business, right? And then we would leave off on that idea, and like maybe we would be supposed to discuss it again, or maybe not. But like I'm here like doing all this thorough research and like trying to like perfect it. And Garrett's like, "Oh, you're still on that? Like what? Like so like I've always been a perfectionist, and it could be good, but it could also like work against me, right? And so, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying, I
Well,
guess,
let me
now that
tell you
I've
why
been
pace can be so
working with agents.
yeah, so let me add a little bit to this. And Amanda just kind of touched on this here as well. Pace is obviously very well seasoned. She's right. He doesn't necessarily need those icebreakers. He can drop his name and people know who he is. That's a huge
Yeah.
flex. Outside of that, though, the other thing is confidence. He doesn't give a shit what the other person on the other side of the phone is going to say, right? One thing I love about Pace, and this is something I strive to emulate as a leader, is he can look at you or talk to you with a smile on his face and fucking roast you, right? Like he'll tear you to
Yeah, yeah,
pieces,
yeah.
but make you feel like like he was helping you in doing it. And it's actually comical. I've watched him do it a couple times in person now. I'm like, yo, that is so funny. He's like low key jabbing, but it's like in a way that you're like, all right, I think thanks. It's very much so the way that I am, and that's why I love Pace as a leader and as a role model because we're very similar in that light, right? But the thing is, I also, with way less seasoning in the real estate space, have a similar level of confidence in myself. Therefore, I'm going to also just lean in on that. So when I talked to an agent this morning and we're putting together this offer for this other horse farm, right? I didn't go into it like trying to get the agent to be my BFF. That's not what the purpose of the call was about. I was like, hey man, what's up? How are you? Good, great. Here's where I'm at. Right? Here's where I need to be at. And I'm going into this conversation with an agent. And once you guys get more experience on how to structure these offers, you understand. And of course, me and Bain and some others, like we'll talk through these deals for 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, depending on the more complex deals. It may take a little bit more conversation, but once you know how to position your numbers, I'm going into a conversation with an agent the same way the agent is coming into the conversation with me. The agent has a bar that they have to stay at. They don't get to change those terms. They got to stay at the bar that the seller says, right? They can't just make it up. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come with the same bar. This is where I got to be at. This is where I got to be at. It's not like I'm trying to like really change your mind, and I'm not really gonna change mine. This is where I gotta be at. And when you go into it with that level of confidence, you can also be like, it's just not for me. Sorry, man. It's just not, Pace does that line all the time. I don't think I'm your buyer, but I might be able to, and then go a different direction, kind of push off, right? Because this is my business model. This is how I have to get it locked up for me
For it
to
to
make
make sense.
money. Exactly. Therefore, when you're speaking to the agent, they're speaking from the same position. This is how they're going to get it sold for them to make money. Now, here's where the agent was at this morning, and here's where I was at. And he said, it's actually the exact message. It was funny. And I should screenshot this because it was a good exchange. He said, the seller said, no bank or lender would give you 0% interest, especially for that long. And I said, but we're not talking about banks. I got to be at these numbers. 45 minutes later, he called me back and said, can you go up a little bit on the monthly payment? Because I said, this is where I'm at, bro.
Yeah, dude.
That's it.
So many, yeah, and the reason that I started saying all this, right, is because I like to hear other people's perspectives, right? Because I hear different gems from different people, right? And then like I like to package that all into my own toolbox, right? And like I definitely like when I was listening to these calls with Pace this weekend, because what I was trying to get at is that like I do feel that confidence, right? But like I mean, I'm getting there with like, but also I feel like I've worked very closely and particularly on like direct to seller, and then we switched to direct to agent, and I haven't put that same amount of time in. And I also know like it's not rocket science. If you have the gift of gab and you could talk to these people and you could do it, then you could do it, right? But I just like I just feel like I needed more gems.
It's the
I needed to
same.
hear more
Let me
gems,
unlock
right?
something else for you,
So,
Chelsea. Keep going. Like,
well, I just wanted to say, the only thing I wanted to say is that, like, I understand, like, you just want to have these realtors, right, that are, like, on your side, like, that, they're just going out and working for us, pretty much, is like what Face said, like, in this video. He's like, now I got 2 realtors. He, like, called these 2 realtors on the phone. He's like, now I got 2 realtors that are out there working for me that I didn't pay $1. You know what I mean?
exactly.
But I don't know. I guess I just was wondering in a sense, like, because not every realtor like knows exactly what seller finance is, right? Like, you're going to have to,
You're going to know what seller finance is. You don't have to worry as much about seller finance. That is tried and true. That's not
Okay.
so unique. Sub two
Okay.
is the thing that's more confusing for people. That's the
Okay.
thing that sometimes takes more conversation. But again, this is the thing I want you to look at, especially when you're newer in this game. It's about volume. So which one of these goes further faster? Me finding 10 properties a day to send out offers on and letting, or more, and letting two of the agents respond back with properties they have that I can make offers, like they get, maybe one gets accepted, maybe you have to send more offers, whatever it is, right? Or spending a bunch of time with one agent trying to explain to them what subject to is and why they should try to convince and explain that to their seller. The person who's just blasting out more offers is going to get further faster than the person that's trying to explain something that they're not an expert at explaining anyway will get. So don't try to battle a lot of these people. Don't worry about it. Like I've said this several times. There's many people in sub two and in the overall creative finance game that just blast out offers. They don't even talk to an agent. They go find properties that are listed for a long period of time. They calculate what the offer would be. They send out an LOI. When they get a response, that's when they take it more serious. That's it. So like, don't try to explain sub two to somebody. Try to get somebody that's been sitting on market. I'm looking to make offers on properties that's been sitting for a long time. Okay, send it to this email and then send your offer. Here's another G Money-ism. I would rather, and this is more than me, but I say it all the time, I would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. It's always so much easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. If you say, are they open to creative finance? They're like, no, don't sell it. And you're out. But if you shoot the offer and then they say, they're not open to these terms, but now you just got further, right? See, if you didn't put it in front of them, at least if you get it out there, at least you have a little kind of chance that they're like, all right, maybe. And then they're going to take it to the seller. And more than likely, the seller's going to counter with something that is not good terms for us. And then we're going to meet in the middle. That's the way that the game goes. Ben, how do you feel about that? Right? So if we were putting offers out there and then letting them counter, does that not open the conversation, the door more to eventually get to a creative deal than trying to explain to an agent what sub two is when they have like this, it's a scam mindset?
Yeah, you're never going to change anyone's mind about it. It's more like trying to find the open ones, and you're only going to find those people by connecting with as many people as you can.
Yes. And another side note, though, when we're talking to agents, we're not just limited to creative deals. So agents also can help you find properties that are fix and flip opportunities, right? And then you have to view yourself as more than a wholesaler in this dynamic. But if you find a fix and flip partner, or maybe you come to me and you say, hey, gee, we want to partner on this or whatever it is, you find somebody that wants to do the fix and flip, you talk to an agent, the agent will bring you opportunities. Then you take it back to your flipper and the flipper will go get a DSCR loan and whatever private money gap funding they need to flip it, and they pay you a piece of it. This is what it means to be a deal maker, guys. Wholesaling is rookie shit. I've been doing marketing for a decade, right? So like when I came in here, wholesaling is just like, yeah, it's not fun for me. It's not pleasing. I want to be an investor. I want to move forward. I want to make bigger spreads. I want to own property. I want to do all of these things. And the way that you do that is you have to view yourself as more than a wholesaler. Now, I totally also get that there is a balance point of needing today cash and like the bigger opportunity that lies down the road. So there's some deals that you should still wholesale, right? But if you come across an agent and you say, hey, if you got any pocket listings or anything that's below 70% ARV, I would love to make an offer on that too. And they send you some and you take this and you plug it into somebody else and you plug it up and then you wait 6 months. And then 6 months from now, you make 20K because you put together a fix and flip deal. All right. Now it's not today money, but if you plug it together and let it run, why would you not want to sit and wait on that? Right. Instead of not having anything in the pipeline. Otherwise, you're just out there chasing that hamster wheel, waiting for the next wholesale deal that you're trying to find. You can still be on that hamster wheel, but it's okay to have a pipeline that's going to keep bringing revenue down the road for you. So just don't limit yourself to just one. So when you talk to an agent, this is why we talk about relationships, because it's not just creative. And if you go into it trying to explain to them sub two or ask them specifically for creative deals, you might end up having them shut the door on you and they may have had a pocket listing that they were trying to give away to somebody, or maybe they just had the seller that, or maybe they just had a buyer that fell through, like we talked about earlier, and you need a homestead buyer that doesn't qualify. You never know what else is there, so don't limit it to just creative deals. Let's see, guys. You got 10 minutes left before we tie up this Monday edition of the G Money Machine. Tomorrow night, keep in mind, guys, we're going to be going much deeper. I'm going to do a full 1-hour training program on the G Money method that you've heard me talk about a couple times here, just so that you guys can understand exactly what this looks like or what this means. It's going to be larger scale cash flowing properties, which generally have some kind of business revenue tied to a real estate asset, like a horse farm you've heard me talk about, right? Or two of them. So with these money-making opportunities, we're going to then do roughly, for an easy math, let's say a 50% down payment, sometimes less, sometimes more, to the seller with a seller finance second position. We're going to pull in a credit partner as needed. If you qualify for the credit, then we can partner directly together, pull in a credit sponsor if we need to, or a private money partner. And then we refinance out at roughly 18 to 24 months down the road, finance out the credit partner. We own this asset that's been cash flowing for this period of time, and we get paid big bucks on the front side. Acquisition fees that are right now, what's funny, guys, is we're looking at damn near $1 million worth of total acquisition fees with the deals that we have on the table right now running this method, and it's all of 2 of them. Just be that out there. So big money to be made. We're going to go much deeper on this, how you can also find these kind of properties. And it doesn't just apply to just things like a farm. You know, there's a couple that were sent to me that are like commercial storage, like self-storage units. And another, it's tied to the real estate itself, but it's a very low overhead revenue generating opportunity. Can be filled up with marketing and we can make more money. That's really the kind of opportunities we're looking for. So we're going to dive deeper on that tomorrow as well. He said, yeah, I'm in the right group. Yes, you are in the right group, because one thing that I see Bain has recently discussed that he's been seeing with me, many other people as well, is that Matt Busco is a huge proponent of this, is it does not take any more effort or really any more skill to acquire something worth $3 million than something worth $300,000. There's no difference. Bain, do you disagree with that?
No, yeah. I mean, you want to be more careful with your underwriting, but I mean, I'm putting the same amount of effort into this than a single family home, maybe even harder to dispo a single family.
Agreed. So absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out. The underwriting is a bit more thorough, which is why you come back to your team leaders. You come back to me. We help you dive deep until you get to that point, right? But as far as actual effort of time and like things that you have to do, it's not like a longer checklist on this side than it is on this side. The checklist is the same. We're hitting the same boxes. And from the time that we found this lead, right? So Sherry found the lead on Thursday, I believe. Friday was the first day she spoke to Daryl, and we have offers that are looking to be accepted today on Monday, right? So like it didn't take a lot of extra work, guys. The hardest part about this, if I'm honest, is me pulling a credit sponsor in that wants to sign for $2 million for 24 months. That's the more difficult part of this play, if you ask me. That's what I think. I mean, I'm not the one on the phone with the sellers all the time. I get to come in and be the money guy with the negotiations and just kind of hit it down on the table. But if I look at this from the top down, it's harder to convince some person to put their credit on the line for a $2 million loan than it is to convince the guy that we're talking to as a seller that we're going to give $1.5 million down and then $3,000 a month. That guy's going to be taken care of. The harder part is the guy who's like, my whole credit is on the line, my whole whatever, you know? So like, I've got, luckily for you all, quite a few of those folks lined up though, courtesy of Sub2 and several of the other communities that we're in. There's lots of folks out there that do fit this role. So also, if you're listening on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, even now we're live streaming as well, hit me up if you're interested in playing any one of these roles, because we're definitely looking to scale. We've got more than 100 students that are getting active right now, and more than 2,100 people in our Facebook community. Lots of movement. So if you're out there, you've got good credit, you want to get into real estate, you don't know how, it doesn't even take the money at this point. You just got to qualify. We'll pull in the hard money, and it's still going to cash flow. It's going to make money up front. It's going to cash flow, and we're going to cash out down the road as well, guys. So that is the G Money method that we'll be diving deeper on tomorrow. Oh, Chelsea, I see you're unmuted. You got something to add, something to chime in?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, but then it seems like you switched the topic quickly, like when I was asking about to ask, but I was gonna say when you were talking about it's harder to convince the guy to
Yeah.
put up his credit. So I know I've been seeing you talk more and more about this G Money method. So what does the credit guy get in the deal? What does his slice look like? Like what a huh?
That's a great question. I'm going to dive deeper on all of that tomorrow in the private
Okay.
training. I want to save a little bit of that sauce for everybody.
Okay.
The benefit of you guys, like I said, you don't really have to find the credit sponsors right now. We have a pretty good flow of people that are willing to do these as long as it's a good deal structure. But we will
Nice.
talk about what the benefit is to a credit sponsor. They're going to equally get paid up front, paid recurring, and paid down the road. A lot of money, right? Just to sign
Nice.
this paper, right? So pretty straightforward as long as it's a good deal. Because the other benefit of it is at the end of the day, especially as we push towards putting these all in land trust, which is something we're going to talk more about soon, is why we should use land trust instead of LLCs. Because I just learned that the other day. You guys need to learn that as well. So I'm going to have them come share with us pretty soon, hopefully. Emailed them this morning. If for some reason I get abducted by aliens, then the sponsor can take, they still already have control over the property and they can, boom, take it and now they're making even more money. So less risk than it may sound to sign on a $2 million loan because you actually have the asset that's backed. But there's that general little bit of risk tied in any deal that we put together. So we'll dive into all of that tomorrow for sure. Anybody else got any other questions as we tie up the end of this 1 hour, guys? Anybody got anything we can share with everyone? Let's see, was that a? Let's see. Also, guys, I'm going to be introducing to y'all this week a couple other leaders that we're bringing in. I mentioned Hans will be joining us tomorrow night as well. He's one of our newest team leaders. I think he has like 7 or 8 people in another training right now that he's doing on closing specifically with his team, right? So he's been a great asset. He's going to continue to do more trainings for the community, going to be doing some live seller calls for you guys to listen in on as you set appointments and need closers for the direct to seller side. Hans will definitely be helping a lot. Bernadette is another great resource that will be coming in. She's going to really help build out the operational side of the academy. I know some of you that have gotten in right now, it's been a little bit bumpy because I'm out here doing lots of stuff and juggling lots of things, bringing in other people that are definitely going to help smooth that out so that it gets a lot easier for you guys to get to your deals even faster. But at the end of the day, the only thing that separates the people that have got leads and have been able to send out offers at bare minimum, send out offers, and the people that have got no movement is that they got started. That's the only difference. They get started immediately. They don't sit and wait around and think about it for days or a week. Sherry came in, boom, here's the list. Boom, she's calling. Boom, she got a lead. Same day. Elijah, last couple, I guess it might have been 2 weeks ago now. First day that he got in, unicorn agent. Jalen, first day he gets in, unicorn agent. Make offers on all these properties, right? It doesn't take that long, especially with the agent side, y'all. I can't reiterate that enough. The sellers are going to take more touches sometimes. We take a little bit more of a conversion cycle. But if you get in, you get active, you call agents, you're networking. You can go to your local real estate meetups. You can go online and meet agents wherever you're going. Go find people that are working with sellers already. They'll bring you opportunities. Then it's just a volume play. How many people can we get to talk to? How many offers can we make? How many offers do I have to make before it gets accepted? Boom. Now we keep it rocking. So that's what we'll tie up with today, guys. I will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time, as well as 6 p.m. tomorrow night, where we cover the G Money method and a interview with Hans talking about working with sellers and closing deals. So we will be going through all of that tomorrow, guys. If you have any other questions or deals that you need help with underwriting, reach out to your team leaders or reach out to me on Facebook. I'll be glad to help you structure whatever we need to get some offers out there. If you need us to jump on a call with an agent or a seller, definitely can make that happen as well. So you know where to find me. Other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time.